Hey everyone, it's Hannah. Um, another class. So, before I get into it, it's a third grade science lesson. I'm about 24 students. I really didn't get super into adaptations today, but I have some for ELL students. So, um, yeah. So the lesson today is over adaptations. So let's get into it. Okay, class, is everyone ready for science? Yeah? Cool. So, today we're going to begin with a slide, and I have, the normal two questions for you. What do you notice and what do you wonder? So, I want you to think to yourself for 30 seconds and then discuss it in your group with your thoughts. And then have your table speaker for the day. They are going to share everybody's thoughts. So, PowerPoint slide, and time to begin to think begins now. Cool. Well, now after you've discussed, now that you finished discussing your thoughts in the group and stuff like that, can your table speakers give us your thoughts? Cool. Yeah, it's a dog and a wolf. Yes, the wolf has yellow eyes. Okay, some of your questions are like, why can we have a dog inside but not a wolf? That's understandable. I've wondered those questions myself. You know. So, but the reason for that is actually in today's lesson. So that was actually a good question. I know it was kind of supposed to be silly, but it was a good question. So, today's class, we are going to explore adaptations, specifically in animals. So, but first, we have a new word for today, a new vocab word, and the word is adaptations. So, an adaptation is any heritable trait that helps an organism, such as a plant or animal, survive and reproduce in the environment. So, it is important. So before we get into today's lesson, though, it is important to note that adaptations affect both plants and animals. However, today we are only going to focus on animal adaptations. We're going to do the plant stuff at a later point. I promise. So, how we're going to do animal adaptations today is by doing research. So, each group is going to get an animal and their adaptation out of this hat, and I want you as a group to search for the characteristics of that animal that helps it to survive. You'll write those characteristics down along with the best drawing of the animal that you can do. And then you can also use, so to do your research, you can use computers or these books. I have them over here on the table. And as a group, you're going to have 15 minutes to complete this part. So, the animals that are in this hat I'm going to just kind of read them off to you so that everybody has a general understanding of has a general understanding of who's getting what, but each group will then pick out their animal that they're going to research. So, the 6 animals and their adaptations are tigers and their stripes, camels who live in the desert, African bullfrogs and their super crazy life cycle. It's really crazy. And then monarch butterflies, their life cycle, sloths, and answering the question of why do they move so slow, and geese, and answering the question of why do they fly south for the winter. Cool? All right. Table speakers for the day, can you come get choose your animal for your group? Thanks. All right, everyone. Now that we've finished researching our animals, I want your table speaker to present the animal and the explanation behind the adaptation to the class. Why don't each of your table speakers come up here to the front, and you get to show off the drawing and your adaptation. And here in the background, I'm going to write the answers on the board. So now that everyone has gone through and explained their animals, good job, everybody. You got it. So let's discuss this for a minute. Do you remember how we talked about in a previous class about what an animal needs to survive? Can you remind me? Yeah, shelter, water, food, and air. You guys are perfect. So, for many creatures, there's a competition for these resources. So whoever is best at this competition will get those resources and then go on to have kids. So, I'm going to give you a little bit of a funny example, but stay with me. Our Tom over there is a really fast runner. We've all seen Tom run. But if I let him run to the dining hall, he would get to the food first, and he could eat it before anybody else could. But what happens if he passed that trait onto his kids? The being able to run fast? Well, I guess his kids would also be able to run fast and to get the food. And so that is what an adaptation is. It is something that causes an animal to survive and reproduce to a better ability than another. And Tom, please don't run to the dining commons today. Cool. All right. Now that we have an understanding of what an adaptation is, I wanted to ask, could you group these 6 adaptations into similar categories? Yes? No? You're not sure? Cool. I wanted to introduce you to 3 categories of adaptations: physical, behavioral, and life cycle. So now that I have these on the board and you see the answers from your animal adaptations over here, can we sort these into each of these categories? Yes? No? Yes? All right. Why don't we have a class discussion about it and let's sort them. All right. Now that we've sorted all these, I have this video here that kind of sums up everything that we've learned about today. So there's the adaptation part of it, and then the 3 categories of the adaptations. So let's watch this video. All right, everyone. I want you guys to write me a definition of the word adaptation in your science notebooks. In addition, I want you to write out the 3 categories of adaptations, and I want you to give me a drawing of an example that fits each category. Your best drawing, you know. So, I hope you guys have been paying attention, and I'll be wandering the room just to double check. And I'll take your notebooks back at the end of the day, and I'll check over the word to make sure it's correct at the end of today. Cool? Cool.